building block of anything, I think you need to look at your trademarking and make it as a trademark.
So on top of that, the next thing about really understanding, and I'm going to try and burn through this quite quickly, really understanding who we're targeting, the person that we're targeting, how they may be searching there. So another thing that has been mentioned but not expanded about on is your search engine optimization. So it's around choosing the accurate keywords for a business. Now, I've sought her permission and she's allowed me to talk about it. One of my clients is running a wellness retreat. It's called Teatify. And Teatify went through the exact same process around determining how the personas would be searching for them online. And based on that, we chose some very specific keywords. Not all keywords stand to be the same. It's also around looking at those keywords in relation to the competitiveness that sits there. So the next step is our keywords. Looking at those keywords in relation to the amount of competition that's out there. If you're in the insurance industry, there's a lot of competition, whereas in some other niche industries, there's not the level of competition. And it's making some really strategic decisions about which words you can target and which words are in the way too hard basket. And we're never going to make any inroads to those. So having a sound strategy around the persona, who's looking for you in those words, become the building block to the person, the next step, which is your website. Now, often people will come to you and say, I'm going to develop a website. But if they don't understand the hooks that have to be built into that website, people then have that question mark around, why is my website not found? And it's about making sure that those words are integrated at various parts within that website. But more than that we actually put little machines on the outside and we monitor that on a regular basis. So that I know if that particular keyword is in position 1 on Google or if that position is in position 30 on Google. Depending on the assessments around if we make decisions around how we can improve that keyword and that website's visibility around the words that we're targeting.
And you're monitoring that through analytics?
No, I use rank monitoring tools that allow me to actually. Websites and keywords can shift quite dramatically. They can bounce around a bit, but it gives you a pretty independent recognition of what position you're currently playing in. And that's fundamental. It's vital. Yes, analytics is important, and analytics will give you an indication of how people are finding your website, but monitoring those keywords is really, really important. So suddenly we've got the monitors of our keywords. We now have a look at the next step, which is our analytics. And that gives us some really key initiatives to take it to that next step. So the next step is our blog. Now, I don't particularly like the word blog. I prefer it to be news. And I'm seeing a smile over there. Why am I seeing a smile?
I'm a website designer. Well, I sell marketing and branding and stuff, and so I hate the word blog as well. Choosing resources,
News
or something more relevant to the client.
More sexy than the blog. So what do we do with our blogs? And yes, as when you just spoke about, we're looking for reasonable content, we're looking for exciting content, we're looking for content that people want to read. It's not about selling, it's about giving. It's your tips, your differences, what technologies are evolving. If you're in a community environment, it's about promoting a particular business. Every single time we do that, we really consider the keywords. What keywords are we going to be targeting within the blog? So we stop writing for the sake of just writing. We think about all the things that we need to say around the personality of what that blog needs to look like. But ultimately, we also need to be very conscious of those keywords. Up until this point, we own it. Every single thing that we put into this environment, we control. The best thing that we can be doing, and you'd agree with this, we need to, within this environment, be doing our constant backups of this environment, how many clients have we lost, not my clients, have come to me where they've lost all of this because they don't have good backups. So we own it and we need to protect it with our life.
Or they've thought they've owned it.
Well, they have. They thought they've owned it.
Yeah.
Now, if we look at the Teatify, and feel free to go and have a look at that environment after. The Teatify environment, we've done exactly that. We've got our website and we've got our news. In their environment, we're doing news in the form of testimonials because it's a new business and we're wanting the testimonials to bring through the referrals and people's experience. What is the one thing, up until this point, that we have as an expectation?
Well, my expectation once I've done all of those is that I'm going to attract people to it, that my content is credible, that it's going to then create people that are going to follow me.
That's the word.
Yeah.
Up until this point, we need to be found.
Yeah.
People have to find us to hear about us. And that's where the next step comes in. So the next step, and I'm going to change colours, the next step comes in, and we're going to go like this over there, because the next step is the social. So that social can take on any elements of what we're doing. So the social, we could use Facebook, we could use Twitter, we could use Tumblr, we could use YouTube, we could use any of those channels. We could even actually use webinars, which I put into that environment, where we're going beyond the environment we control. We're now moving into our lease environment, where we lease space and we never really control what's there, and it can be taken away from us at any point in time. But at that point in time, we're starting to attract people. Now, one of the things that I think is always important as we attract people is we need to really be attracting them down the level into this funnel. So this is just a huge funneling of traffic, and I have a very strong opinion that even though we're being social, we should always have that call to action. So, do you know the 5 tips to doing this? What are the 5 tips to be on? What are your 5 tips to a wellness journey? What are the things you should be looking at if you're looking for a wellness retreat? All of those questions can be put out into the social arena by questions, by images, by quotes, by anything. But at the end of the day, we're driving them either through to the blog, or we're driving them through to somewhere on the website where we want them to take the next step. Often I see people at this level sharing quotes and sharing images, and you go, then what? Or in some scenarios, they actually are sharing a lot of other people's content that may not be relevant to their business, and you're going, well, how's this all going to be funneling through? So every single time I do anything on a client site, I have a very conscious decision around how's that going to lead down. Now, this environment, I'm getting a lot of insights. I'm starting to see some more things take place. And when I combine that with this and with this, pictures start to form. So they do for me.
Yeah.
And then I can make some strategic decisions around what I'm going to do to advertise.
Yeah.
So we're going to change colours again, and we're going to look at this next level, and we're going to put the next level, we're going to put $1 on it. So, what do I mean? If I've got a website and it's on page 1 for health retreat, or for your whole journey or your wellness journey, I'm not going to spend money advertising to get that onto page 1. How many times have you not seen a business that appears in a Google AdWord, but actually they're sitting on page 1, and they're spending $4 to $5 a click for the person to click on the first thing rather than on their website?
Right.
So,
right. I see.
I will strategically decide what are the words, if I'm doing a Google ad campaign, what are the words that I'm going to be targeting that I want to be found for, that my website is not in position for yet. And so I can now strategically start spending my money in the right area when I start spending information out there. The same thing holds true for social. If I've got an event and I'm wanting to share that event, I might decide to do some spending on an event or on around a post that I really want something to happen. But most times I lay in wait and I watch the social media content that I've got out there to see which of those social media elements are getting a little bit of interest. And it's when I pick up that they're getting that little bit of interest, I then start boosting them. And personally, I never boost a post. I actually go through a very defined environment of who's my target market, what cities are they in. So I don't just randomly throw money at anything. It's about really deciding what is my objective for that particular piece of collateral that I'm trying to get some more interaction with. Any questions up until now?
No, I'm finding what you're saying really interesting, because for me it's starting to put things in a sequential order, which for me is really important. I never thought that I would strategize on Facebook for insights of events that I would then take it to this step, the next step. Which is, and I didn't realise I could be quite so specific as to what I tick, what cities, what areas, what demographic.
If I look at another client, and we'll move out of the Teatify environment, and we'll move into your local physiotherapist.
Yes.
So your local physiotherapist would find it really expensive to advertise in Google Ads for certain of the words that we target. So in that particular area, we know all of this, but we also know that whilst we're working for this to happen organically, we're going to target some Google Ads. Again, we make some very clear decisions around our split in Google Ads. So we split her budget between banner ads, which are more of reach and brand awareness, and then we split it through to your content keyword type Google ad. So in her environment, we are targeting a local area. It might be city centre physio or city centre physiotherapist, whereas here we can go back pain, and we can target a wider range of areas, because this is far cheaper for us to do for her than what this is. So we become very specific in terms of the spend on her actual keywords in terms of that advertising. Here we make decisions, and I've seen some great returns. 6,000 to 7,000 clicks through from a paid advert in Facebook advertising, where we've spent $30 and we've got 6,000 clicks through. If we converted that to a Google ad campaign, that would be worth $18,000 easily, because $3 a word, every click, it would have been. So there's some real value to the client. So remember everything, either back to your social, or back down into the blog, or back down to the website, just depending where you need to go. And so we're forming our funnel. What's the one thing we've left out the funnel?
Well, the client, the
people we know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've left, and so this becomes my little teacup, because I'm a girl after all. So we've got our little teacup out to the side, and there sits my email marketing. So this is focused on bringing new traffic in, or alternatively people that know about us, that come through to edify us. This sits out here in terms of my database that I still need to be communicating with, because often when we communicate to people who've dealt with us in the past, they suddenly have a reintroduction to a new service that we're doing. They're starting to hear a little bit more about what we're doing. If in the Teatify example, that the email marketing is sharing out those testimonials, what people are experiencing. So they're being kept up to date with what we're doing on a regular basis. And so that is a vital component to the whole digital strategy. And if we look at this and we start evolving each of those areas into their own components around what we need to do, that becomes your digital strategy, and that's how it all hangs together. So we're covering off our owned environment where we own it. If any of those environments were taken away, all the collateral still sits in here. We're not going to sit with a situation where we've lost all our content. We are building people through, building our databases, building our clients, building our leads. We're adding them into that, and we're communicating with those people on a regular basis. How many times have you not bought insurance from somebody, and once they've signed the deal, you never hear from them again? We keep those people in the loop, and we need to be mindful to be adding those people to the loop on a regular basis. Any questions?
Now that you've said it, it's actually quite simplistic and it makes sense.
It's not hard.
But you still need a strategy and you still need to have a plan. So, after you,
SEO. I hear a lot of customers coming to me saying XYZ around the corner is trying to sell me an SEO package and it's upwards of $1,000 a month. Is that the bottom cut? The bottom area, is that what they're selling, that service, maintaining the blog, maintaining the content, checking the monitoring keywords, is that what they're paying for? Is that what those clients are
Really
paying for in
depends
that
on the
space?
SEO company. So if I would do it as part of what I do for my clients in this environment. So for that, yes, I am monitoring those keywords. I'm taking strategic decisions around the content. I'm monitoring the visibility of the website. I'm looking at news and blog content to come. I'm looking for my social signals to bring those down. So ultimately, SEO is not a standalone commodity that sort of happens. It's around how old is the domain name? What is the maturity on the domain name? How many shares are we being picked up? How many directories are linking into it? So there are multiple facets that go into the website's presence. But yes, that is some of the things that they are doing. From my own perspective, I look at it and I go, how am I going to be doing that SEO if I don't understand where the business wants to go? How am I going to be doing the SEO if I don't understand some of the other things that the business is trying to achieve? And I think it's the same thing as when those same people approach you and they want to sell you Google advertising and they want to sell it to you at X amount. That's exactly why businesses are coming up twice on page one for the fact that they're advertising their own business name. Which is
a waste of money.
It's a waste of money. And so it's about understanding all of those elements to make the correct decisions in those correct environments, and being mindful and being aware and being able to change what you're doing. So, if the business is suddenly saturated, well, let's look at the analytics. Let's see where all the leads are coming from. What do we have to pull back on? Do we need to pull back on some of that Google advertising that we're doing so whilst the business plays catch up? Alternatively, we've got bookings that need to come through that we haven't filled spaces. Which of these medium is the best to try and generate that business through? And remembering, has been repeatedly said, many of these elements is not a overnight happening. These things take a long time. Your social takes a long time. Your website takes a long time. And sometimes even to get some of those banners into position can take a little while. Those are probably the easiest things to do and the quickest things to do. But remember, if you continually build your business just based around those AdWords, you're never going to have an environment that's going to actually stand for itself. And as more businesses come along, as Auckland grows, as New Zealand grows, as we can see where the growth in population stats are at, if everyone is competing for that first position for a particular keyword, there's only one thing that's going to happen to the price of that commodity. It's going to go up.
Absolutely.
So this strategy is going to become a more costly strategy the longer you're in business.
And this blue area, even though this is an online conference, that blue area can actually comprise of offline advertising.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Radio and TV.
And so let's take that offline advertising. We've got a wonderful PR post in a publication, which happens with a lot of my clients. And so what do we do with that? And it's about strategically deciding where we put it. My first thing would be to place it on me. And suddenly rather than just go and share it out there, place it on somebody where we can draw them down, where we own that collateral again and we have a record of that collateral. Then we pull out snippets and snapshots of that piece and we drive the credibility through to that social stage.
Right.
And
so
then,
you're going back up.
And then if we're wanting to build more awareness of that particular piece of coverage, we go into that environment and we make some decisions around where we're going to actually pay to have that going.
Okay. I really like this. From my perspective, I do this with my clients, and my clients are micro businesses, 1, 2, 3 man bands, and they come to me wanting a website or their website being made responsive, and then the aftermath is how do you support them and help grow their business and put together a bit of a strategy for them. And I've always struggled to be able to visualize it like that for them.
Now you've got Cathy's tip.
And I tell you, I love it. And even it's amazing. It's so cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You put it all together, and I like the way then
You're
you
talking to your avatars.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, thank you.
And that's really my irrespective of the business.
Yeah.
So there are some businesses where their websites are great, they're standing, so all we do is we go in and we work that and we work that. There are other businesses where we don't have time for all of the SEO to take a stand, so we'll work on that in the background, but that's our primary focus.
Right.
There are other businesses, you're right, where we get straight in and we do a new website for them because the website needs to be reworked.
Right.
But again, in that environment, we track the difference.
Yes.
We track the flows, we track the bottlenecks, we track what needs to happen in that
Clients
environment.
going out and doing next door neighbour, Skin Deep. She's going out doing this, and your website is just. So you're generating all this traffic, but you're going
It's
to
not
lose
going
them.
somewhere.
You're not going to be able to convert them very well. Big investment. I get really annoyed when I see businesses going out selling this to people who don't have all the bones in
I've
place.
just taken a particular client. She had a $1,500 a month spend here. I've taken her down to $20 a month.
My
She
God.
is, sorry, $20 a day. She is getting more traffic off that because we've split it. We do remarketing through this. We're driving people back. And she's had a total change in terms of the feedback that she's getting through this loop.
Did she have withdrawal symptoms, Kath?
She's referred her husband to me.
Yeah,
Yes, and
they
that's
take
awesome.
advantage of people's naivety in this space. They know it's, they'll go, well, this is my special, I'm going to sell you that, but hold on a minute, you don't have these in place first, but how about you go away? If they were honest, go away, do this, then come back to us. We'll generate better leads for you, convert more customers for you.
And I think that's one of my levels of, working in this space is I don't have a large sales force. I am the sales force, and then I have a team of very competent people behind me. And so I don't have the numbers flowing through to be able to do exactly that, because a lot of those people live on these, they are the salespeople and they are the people that are slick at doing the selling. And they leave potential businesses with the concern that if they don't do what they're expected to do, their businesses might not be around in a few years' time. And so people are literally pushed into that. And I've seen a particular lady who had tied herself into a contract where she was tied in for 6 months, and they even, her business was in the funeral environment, and she was a very personalised service. They even went as far as to change her telephone message, that it became an American type telephone message, and she couldn't get out of the contract.
I think you're right. The way that you've done these steps here, Kath, make it. You've got something to actually refer back to of why you've got to this position. It's a lot more transparent in what you're doing. And if, like me, I have to report to a board and be accountable, I can do that following this process. Absolutely. Yes. And putting my email marketing over there as the handle, you're right. Fits in all of those, and I need to keep them just as well as inform, because they are my backbone. And they're the ones that will do my word of mouth for me, which doesn't
Absolutely.
cover
Yeah.
through this.
Absolutely.
So-
And so often, and when we hear the word digital, we tend to forget about that.
Yeah, you're right.
So many businesses do about their
Yeah.
existing clients.
Absolutely. And that's your vital stream. That's your warm market sitting
Yeah.
right there.
Especially in New Zealand, there's so many small businesses. We all say the same thing. Word of mouth.
So let's just, we still got a little bit of time, or we're
We're about 2 minutes.
cool.
Great.
So
Thank
let's
you.
just hop into LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
LinkedIn, there is that blogging area in LinkedIn. A lot of people are putting content into LinkedIn. Again, it's in that legacy space. What I would typically do is I'd have my blog post written. I will do a micro version or a smaller version of it through LinkedIn, and for the full article,
Yeah.
so
I really.
that's my teaser. and
Yeah, I
then
was going to
drive
say
it
I
down.
like teasers, which take you back to. Yeah. That
Thank
is
you,
so
Cathy.
My absolute
Awesome.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Your hand, yeah. Your hand out.
So do I. Thank you.
Cool.